A heartwarming song of pink flowers blooming on the grassland in the sunny green meadow. There is a tender pink flower blooming. It is called duadwo. The petals of duadwo are like soft pink silk, and the center of the flower is golden as if scattered with sunlight. The dewdrops on the leaves roll around and sway gently in the wind. Little Ant Guaguo always circles around it. Duadwo is the little sweetheart of the grassland, with a delicate appearance and a heart sweeter than nectar. That early morning, the little ladybug Dion's feet accidentally got muddy, and she was so slippery that she could unstand steadily. Duadwo quickly shook her leaves to let the dewdrops fall on Dion's feet, helping it clean up. Don't panic. The dewdrops can help you wipe it clean. Dion flapped her wings and said, "Thank you, Duadwo. Your dewdrops are more effective than small water droplets." In the morning, the sun made the grass warm. Little butterfly Yinging was tired from flying and wanted to find a place to rest. Duadubu immediately straightened up and spread out her petals as a little cradle. "Yinging, come and rest on my petals." It gently landed on the tender pink petals, rubbed against the center of the flower, and said, "Your petals are softer than a small cushion." At noon, the team of Little Ant Guaguo was trying to carry a grain of pollen, but was blocked by a small soil slope. Duadwo had a sudden inspiration. She made the leaves hang down to form a little slide and let the dewdrops moisten the slide until it was smooth. "Slide down my leaves steadily." The ants lined up and slid across the leaves. Guagu waved her antennae and thanked them. "Your leaves are even better than little ladders." In the afternoon, a gentle wind suddenly blew, and the newly sprouted tender grass was blown hither and thither. Duadwo quickly swayed her body, using the petals to block the strong wind, and softly sang, "Wind, wind, gently blow." The tender grass baby is not afraid anymore. The little tender grasses slowly straightened their backs and nodded at Duadwo. "Sister Duadwo, your petals are more useful than the little umbrella." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the grassland a pinkish-orange color, and the friends gathered around Dion. Dion brings fresh aphids, Ying offers sweet nectar, and Guguo delivers shiny little stones. Each flower is bathed in the setting sun, and the dewdrops on the petals are shining. My heart feels warm. It knows that even if it is just a tiny flower, it can still shelter its companions from the wind and rain and bring them joy. Such a life on the grassland is even happier than the most colorful blooming. The heartwarming adventure of the yellow chick Gigi's farm. On the farm grassland bathed in golden light, a fluffy little yellow chicken was hopping around, chirping. Gigi's fur is like dandelions sprinkled with sunlight. Its round black eyes shining brightly, and its little paws making a dada sound when it runs. The mother hen always gigs gently. Gigi is the little warm sun of the farm. It looks cute and innocent, but its heart is warmer than millet porridge. One early morning, Gigi was learning to catch insects with her friends when suddenly she heard a woo sobbing sound coming from the grass. When I pried open the soft green grass, I found out that the little ant Guago had fallen into a pit and couldn't climb out no matter how hard I tried. Gigi immediately squatted down, spread her tiny wings, and gently lowered them as if building a soft feather bridge. Guago grabbed my feathers and crawled slowly. Guago carefully moved up along the warm feathers and finally returned to the ground. Waving her antennae, she thanked her. "Thank you, Gigi. Your wings are stronger than a small rope." In the morning, the sun was rising higher and higher. When little hedgehog Kiwuki was looking for wild fruits, her back was accidentally covered with Xanthium sibericum and her spines got stuck together. She was in so much pain that she was groping. Gigi had a sudden inspiration. With its sharp little beak, it carefully pecked off the burdock seeds one by one for Kiyuki. It also pecked out tender grass leaves to spread on the ground for it to rest. "Don't worry, I'll help you with it slowly." Kuki bent over, rubbing and chattering. "Sister Gigi, your mouth is more dexterous than a little comb." At noon, the little master Duaduo was drying grains in the yard. Suddenly, a strong wind blew, scattering the grains all over the ground. A few sparrows took the opportunity to steal food. Gigi immediately gathered her little chicken friends and together they used their little paws to scrape the grains together. She herself, with her little chest out, chirped giggle at the sparrows to drive them away. Duaduo smiled and fed Gigi millet. "Gigi is really my capable little helper. It's even more useful than a little broom." In the afternoon, the mother hen found that the straw mat in the chicken coop was torn and the baby eggs were almost exposed. Gigi hurriedly ran to the grassland, fetched soft dry grass and fallen feathers, and carried them back to the chicken coop round and round. She gradually spread the straw mats thickly and gently moved the egg babies to the center of the new mats. Mother hen gently licked Gigi's head and said, "My little Gigi has grown up. He can take care of his younger siblings now." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the farm a golden red, and the friends gathered around the chicken coop. Guagu brings sweet nectar, Kiyuki presents fresh wild fruits, and Duadua brings abundant millet and clear water. Gigi pecked at the millet, her little wings flapping excitedly, and her yellow fluff shone with a warm light in the setting sun. It knew that even though it was small and not very strong, it could still help its good friends through its own efforts. Such a lively and mutually supportive farm life was even happier than eating the most delicious insects. The chirping of yellow birds in the forest warms the heart above the sunlit forest. A golden little yellow bird was flying, chirping. Shoo-shoo's feathers are like being bathed in a layer of sunlight with a light orange glow on the edges of its wings. Its round black eyes are like black gems. When it sings, it makes a crisp chirp 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 sound. Little squirrel Dow Dow always lies on the branch and cries. Shoo Shoo is the little singer of the forest. She flies fast and has a heart sweeter than berries. That early morning Shushu was practicing singing among the branches when suddenly she heard a woo cry. Looking down, little hedgehog Cookie saw that her wild fruit basket had fallen off the cliff. She was so anxious that she kept stamping her feet. Shushu immediately dived down, picked up the fruit basket with her sharp little mouth, and flew steadily back to the shore. She also helped QQ pick up the scattered wild fruits. "Don't worry, I've found them for you." Cookie, swinging its spikes, said, "Thank you, Choo Choo. Your wings are more stable than a small airplane." In the morning, the sun was getting warmer and warmer. Little Aunt Guago's team wanted to carry a candy, but was blocked by a small stream. Shushu had a sudden inspiration. She found a large willow leaf, placed it on the water surface as a small boat, and gently pushed the leaf with her paws to send the ants to the opposite bank. "Sit tight. Let's go." Guago shook her antennae and thanked her. "Your method is even more effective than a small bamboo raft." At noon, the little squirrels in the forest kindergarten were going to have a get-together, but there was no music accompaniment. Shushu immediately sang a cheerful song and gathered other bird companions to form the forest chorus. The little squirrels danced along with the song, all praising Shushu's singing as the most pleasant. Shushu also taught everyone to sing new songs, and the forest was filled with laughter and joy everywhere. In the afternoon, a sudden strong wind blew, and the little spider's silk web was blown through, making it impossible to find its way home. Shushu hurriedly flew over, held onto Cece's silk thread with his paws, and led it to a safe branch. He also helped Cece find a strong vine to weave a new net. Sissy said gratefully, "Sister Juju, your claws are more reliable than a little guide." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the forest a warm yellow, and the friends gathered under the big trees. Kuki brought sweet wild fruits, Guago sent honeydew, and Sissy woven a shiny little spider web as a decoration for Juju. Chirp perched on a branch, singing a gentle song, its yellow feathers shining in the setting sun. It knew that even though it was small, it could help its good friends with its singing and courage. Such a forest life was even happier than flying against the wind. A heartwarming story of the orange puppy Wang Fu's courtyard in the sunny courtyard of a rural house. There was a little orange dog running. Its name was Wang Fu. Wang Fu's fur is like sun-dried orange segments, soft to the touch. It has a pair of big ears drooping, and its tail wags like a small flag. The little cat Mimi always rusts against it. Wang Fu is the little son of the courtyard. It looks simple and honest, but its heart is more fragrant than meat and bones. One early morning, the mother hen was taking her chicks for a walk. The youngest chick, Duadwo, accidentally fell into a small pit beside the vegetable cellar. Wang Fu hurried over, lay down on the edge of the pit, and lowered his big ears. "Duadwo, hold onto my ears and come up." Duadzu, stepping on her soft ears, steadily crawled back to the ground, chirping and rubbing against Wang Fu's paws. "Thank you, Wang Fu. Your ears are more useful than a small ladder." In the morning, the little owner Duodwa was drying peanuts in the yard. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew, scattering the peanuts all over the ground. Wang Fu immediately carried a small bamboo basket, pushed the peanuts one by one into the basket with his nose, and also helped Duaduo drive away the little sparrows that wanted to steal the peanuts. Duaduo smiled and stroked its head, saying, "Wang Fu is truly my little helper. It's even more capable than a little broom." At noon, the little cat Mimi's ball of yarn rolled into the woodshed and got tangled around the firewood. Wang Fu quickly got into the woodshed, gently grabbed the end of the yarn with his mouth, and peeled off the yarn ball bit by bit. He also licked the yarn ball clean for Mimi. Mimi held the ball of yarn and rubbed her head against Wang Fu's neck, saying, "Brother Wang Fu, your mouth is more dexterous than your little paws." In the afternoon, Grandma went to the vegetable garden to pick vegetables. Accidentally, she sprained her ankle and sat on the ground, unable to stand up. Wang Fu immediately ran home, bit the little master's trouser leg, and pulled towards the vegetable garden, barking woof woof into the room to remind everyone to come and help quickly. After being helped home, Grandma handed Wang Fu a big meat bone and said, "Our Wang Fu is such a sensible and good child." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the small courtyard a golden orange color. The friends gathered under the old locust tree at the gate. Mother Chicken brought fresh eggs, Duaduo brought sweet cookies, and Mimi carried her favorite dried fish. Wang Fu was holding a meat bone in his mouth, wagging his tail like a rattle, and his orange fur was shining in the setting sun. It knew that even if it was just a little dog, it could still protect everyone in the small courtyard. Such days were happier than eating the most fragrant meat bones. The blue flatfish's warm story in the calm, shallow sea, on the shallow sandy bed bathed in sunlight lay a blue flatfish. Its name was Ping Ping. Ping Ping's body is like a small blanket covered with sapphires. Its eyes are on both sides of its head. Its tail flaps up like a small fan and sticks to the sand like a moving blue stone. Little crab pincers always circle around it. Ping Ping is a little guard of the shallow sea. It hides well and its heart is sweeter than seaweed juice. That early morning, little clam Lely was washed ashore by the waves, and its shell was almost open from the sun. Ping Ping just swam to the shore, blocking the sunlight with her body, and then wagging her tail to splash water, slowly pushing Lely back into the sea. "Don't be afraid, I'll take you home." Lala closed its shell and then opened it again, as if nodding in gratitude. "Thank you, Ping Ping, your tail works better than a pusher." In the morning, little seahorse Duadwa got lost and was swimming around among the sandbeds. Ping Ping immediately swam over and drew a shiny path on the sand with her body. That was the direction leading to the group of seahorses. She would stop from time to time to wait for Duaduo. "Follow my tracks and you'll find Mum soon." When she found the group of seahorses, Duaduo wrapped her tail around Ping Ping's body and said, "Your mark is clearer than a compass." At noon, a fierce little shark swam into the shallow sea, trying to catch some small fish as snacks. Ping Ping quickly pressed herself against the sandbed, revealing a little of her blue body to lure the shark away. Then she circled around the reef and led the shark to the old fishing net left by the fishermen. The little fish took the opportunity to hide among the coral reefs, and all praised Ping Ping for being smart and brave. In the afternoon, the pincers of the little crab pincers got stuck in the conch shell, causing blisters of pain. Ping Ping swam over, used its flat body to press against the conch shell, and with a forceful flick of its tail, helped Qianjian break free. It also found soft seaweed to bandage it. Jianshan held up her pliers and said, "Brother Ping Ping, your strength is even greater than that of little crab dad." A heartwarming story of a strong calf's farm on Grandpa's farm lived a little yellow ox, and everyone called him Zhuangguang. He had a coat of short golden fur, like a small blanket woven by sunlight. His 4 legs were as strong as small pillars, and he walked steadily. He also had a pair of tiny ox horns, which felt soft, not yet stiff. Zhuangguang is strong but has a particularly gentle personality. All the little animals on the farm like to play with him. Even the newly hatched chicks dare to jump onto his back to bask in the sun. That early morning, Zhuangguang had just finished gnawing at the tender grass on the meadow when he heard the sound of panting. It was the old goat grandpa from the farm. He was about to move the bamboo basket full of carrots to the warehouse, but the basket was too heavy and he was so tired that he kept wagging his tail after just a few steps. Zhuangguang hurried over, gently pressed his head against the bamboo basket and mooed at Grandpa Old Goat, as if saying, "Grandpa, I'll push it for you." He walked slowly with a bamboo basket on his head, his 4 legs firmly on the ground, not swaying at all. Grandpa Old Goat followed beside him, smiling and saying, "Zhuangguang is such a good child, more reliable than my little cart." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, the chicks on the farm were playing the Find Bugs game in the yard. Suddenly, they noticed a hole in the roof of the chicken coop. If it rained, the eggs in the coop would surely get wet. The cookers were buzzing anxiously around the chicken coop, but they were too weak to move the dry grass needed to repair the roof at all. Zhuangguang heard the cry and rushed over. He picked up the hay bale on the ground with his mouth and slowly carried it to the chicken coop. He also helped the cookers spread the hay on the hole. The gurus pecked at the corn kernels on the ground at Zhuangguang and said, "Zhuangguang, this is for you to eat. Thank you for helping us repair the chicken coop." At noon, my neighbor's little brother Dodo came to the farm to play. He wanted to ride the little wooden horse, but the wooden horse on the farm broke down. Seeing Dodo's disappointed look, Zhuangguang quickly walked up to her, slowly knelt down on her front legs, and let out a moo at Dodo. Grandpa smiled and said, "Dodo, Zhuangguang asked you to ride on its back. It will walk very slowly." Dudu carefully climbed onto Zhuangguang's back. Zhuangguang slowly stood up and walked steadily around the grass. Dudu put her arm round Zhuangguang's neck and laughed. Zhuangzhuang's back is even more comfortable than a little wooden horse. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. The wheat that Grandpa dried in the yard hasn't been brought back to the barn yet. If it gets wet by the rain, it will sprout. Zhuangzhuang hurriedly ran to the pile of rice, blocking the wind blowing towards it with his body. He also mooed at his grandpa's house, reminding him to come and harvest the wheat quickly. When Grandpa heard this, he quickly ran out with tools. Zhuangguang even helped to push the scattered wheat grains into the pile with his nose. Just as the wheat was harvested into the barn, raindrops began to fall with a drip-drip sound. Grandpa stroked Zhuangguang head and said, "Thanks to Zhuangguang, otherwise all this wheat would have been wasted." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the farm orange red. Zhuangzhuang was lying on the grass, surrounded by Grandpa Old Goat, the gurus, and Dut. Everyone was sharing the green grass cookies and carrot sticks given by Grandpa. Zhuangzhuang was chewing the sweet carrot, looking at the smiling faces of his friends, with his tail gently swaying, feeling warm in his heart. Suddenly he felt that his strength was not only for walking and eating grass, but also for helping Grandpa Old Goat carry things, helping the cuckoos repair the chicken coop, taking Dudu to play, and reminding Grandpa to harvest the wheat. It was much happier than eating grass alone on the grassland. It turns out that even a tiny calf can, with its own strength and gentleness, become a little guard on the farm, bringing safety and happiness to every friend. When the moon rose, Zhuangguang was still walking slowly on the grass. His golden fur sparkled gently in the moonlight like a moving little piece of gold. The farm is quiet, with only the chirping of insects and the rustling of the wheat stalks in the wind. Thanks to Zhuangzhuang, this farm has become increasingly lively and warm. Such days are sweeter than tender grass and more reassuring than strong calves. Parrot Tsicai's happy diary on the balcony of the little girl Mengmen's home. There hangs a colorful bird cage in which lives a parrot. Everyone calls her Sai Sai. Her feathers were like a pallet had been overturned. Her wings were bright emerald green. Her belly was soft lemon yellow, and there was a tuft of red feathers on her head, as if she were wearing a small hat. The most amazing thing is that Tsicai can imitate many sounds. She can say good morning like meng meng, and also imitate the ding-ling-ling sound of an alarm clock. Every day she makes the balcony lively and bustling. That early morning, Mengmeng had just finished feeding Xiaomi to Keikai when she heard a woo crying sound coming from downstairs. It was Dodo, the little brother of the neighbor. His mother had gone to buy vegetables, and Dodo was waiting for her at the door. He was so anxious that he burst into tears. Keikai quickly chattered downstairs and imitated Meng Meng's mother's voice. "Dodo, don't worry, Mum will be back soon." Dudu heard a familiar voice, looked up and saw Taisi AI on the balcony. Her tears immediately stopped and she waved at Taisai saying, "Taisai, I'll wait for Mum." Mengmen smiled and patted Keikai's head, saying, "Keikai is so smart. She even comforts Dodo." In the morning, the sun was slowly rising. Mengmen was doing her homework on the balcony. As she was writing, she frowned. She had forgotten how to pronounce the English word for apple and could unfind it in her textbook. Seeing Mengmeng's anxious look, Kai suddenly began to imitate the English teacher's voice. "Apple, apple, apple, apple." Mengmeng immediately remembered and said happily, "Sai, tease, Sai, you are so amazing. Actually can speak English words." Sai proudly waved the red feathers on her head and repeated apple once again, which made Mengmeng burst into laughter. At noon, Mengmeng's good friend Lele came to her home to play. The two of them wanted to play the "You Say I Guess" game, but they were missing a question setter. Cai hurried over and imitated Mengmeng's mother's voice, saying, "Here comes the question. What is a flying, feathered little animal?" Lely smiled and replied, "It's a little bird. TCICI, be the question setter." Next, Cicai imitated the barking of a puppy for the two of them to guess animals, and then imitated the sound of an alarm clock for them to guess objects. The balcony was filled with laughter. Lele said before leaving, "Cai is so interesting. I'll come and play with it again next time." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Mengmeng's mother dried the quilt on the balcony, but hasn't had time to collect it yet. Cai quickly made a ding-ling-ling sound into the room, imitating the sound of a doorbell, and shook her head in the direction of the quilt. Mengmeng's mother heard the sound and ran out to take a look. She quickly put the quilt into the room. Just as she finished putting it away, raindrops began to fall with a drip, drip sound. Mum touched Cai's cage and said, "Thanks to Sai, otherwise the quilt would have been soaked." Sai called out to her mother, "Mum is so great," which made her mother burst into laughter. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the balcony. Mengmeng was sitting on a small chair on the balcony, telling Kai about the interesting things at school. Kai would imitate Mengmeng's tone from time to time, saying and yes, as if she were listening attentively. Mum brought in some fruits. Mengmeng picked up a grape, peeled it, and fed it to Kai. Kai pecked at the grape, her eyes narrowing into little crescent moons. Mengmeng held the birdcage and whispered, "Kai with you around. The balcony is not boring at all." Sai waved her colorful wings, feeling warm in her heart. It suddenly felt that its ability to imitate sounds was really useful. It could comfort Dodo, help Mengmeng memorize words, play games with everyone, and remind Mum to tuck in the quilt. It was much more interesting than staying in the cage singing all the time. It turns out that even a tiny parrot can, with its own wit and unique skills, become a little joker on the balcony, bringing joy and help to everyone. When the moon rose, Cai stood quietly on the crossbar. Her colorful feathers sparkled gently in the moonlight like a small glowing ball. The balcony is quiet, with only the rustling sound of the evening breeze brushing past the curtains. Because of TSICAI, this small balcony has become increasingly lively and warm. Such days are sweeter and more fragrant than sweet millet, and more beautiful than colorful feathers. 以上翻译结果来自有道神经网络翻译 YNMT 通用场景。Sister Moon's night watch every evening. When Grandpa's sun hides behind the mountains, the night sky welcomes a gentle guest, Sister Moon. Sometimes she is like a round silver plate, scattering her clear glow all over the world. Sometimes it is like a small boat, gently drifting in the deep blue night sky. Sometimes I would hide in the clouds, only showing a little bit of light, as if playing hide-and-seek with everyone. No matter what it looks like, Sister Moon's light is always warm and gentle, illuminating the paths in the forest and also the way home for the little animals. That night, Sister Moon turned into a round silver plate and was smiling at the forest. Suddenly, she heard a wailing sound. It was the little squirrel Lely. It had gone to the pine tree to pick pinnacle nuts in the evening, and was so absorbed in it that it could not find its way home after dark, and could only shake while hugging the tree trunk. Sister Moon quickly brightened the moonlight a little, allowing the light to gently fall on the path in front of Lelu, as if a silver carpet had been laid out. Lelu, don't be afraid. Follow my light and you'll find your home. Lulu saw the shiny path, wiped away her tears and ran forward under the moonlight. In no time, she saw the tree hole of her own home. It stood in front of the tree hole and waved its paw at Sister Moon. Thank you, Sister Moon. Your light is brighter than a little lantern. I'm finally home. Sister Moon continued to look at the forest and discovered something new. The little frog Quack. Quack in the pond was anxiously circling around the lotus leaf. It turned out that during the day, Guagua went to the field with her mother to catch insects and accidentally got separated from her. After dark, she could only hide on a lotus leaf and didn't even have the mood to sing. Sister Moon quickly scattered her moonlight onto the pond, creating a layer of silver light on the surface. She gently swayed the clouds beside her and said, "Gua Gua, don't worry. Your mother must be looking for you. My light will help your mother see you." Sure enough, it wasn't long before the frog mother swam over under the moonlight. Quack Quack jumped into her mother's arms at once and called out "Quack Quack" to the moon sister twice, as if expressing her gratitude. At this moment, Sister Moon saw a tiny figure walking slowly on the hillside. It was little hedgehog Kuki. It was carrying a full load of wild fruits on its back, wanting to give them to its grandma far away. But the mountain path was too dark at night, so it didn't dare to walk too fast. Sister Moon quickly gathered her moonlight in front of Kyuki and made the stars blink their eyes as well, walking with Kyuki. "Kyuki, come on. My light will always shine on you. Grandma must be waiting for you." Kyuki looked at the bright road beneath her feet and quickened her pace. The fruit on her back swayed gently, as if greeting the stars. A few days later, Sister Moon turned into a curved little boat. She found that the little ants in the forest were still busy. They were moving the winter grain to their new home, but it was too dark at night to see the route of the move clearly. Sister Moon quickly moved her curved little boat towards the ants' hole, allowing the moonlight to just shine on the ants' line. Little ants, move slowly. My light will be with you. The little ants, following the moonlight, lined up in neat rows to carry food. From time to time, they would wave their antennae at Sister Moon as if saying, "Thank you, Sister Moon, for your hard work." It was late at night. Most of the little animals were asleep, but the little rabbit Rong Rong was still looking at the stars on the grass by the field. Rong Rong has been a bit unhappy recently because its mother is going to her grandma's house far away, and it has to stay at home alone for a few days. Sister Moon gently cast moonlight on Rong Rong and said tenderly, "Rong Rong, don't be sad. Mom will be back soon. I'll come to keep you company every night." Rong Rong looked up at the crescent moon sister and suddenly felt no longer lonely. Pointing at the moon, she said, "Moon sister, you are like a small boat. Can you carry Mum back quickly?" Sister Moon smiled and shook her head, saying, "I'll help you pass a message to Mum to tell her to come home early, to be with Robert." Slowly, the sky was about to brighten. Sister Moon was going to hide in the clouds to rest. She looked at the sleeping little animals. Lely was holding a pinnacone in the tree hole. Guagua was snoring beside her mother. Kyuki had already delivered the fruit to her grandma's house, and Rong Rong was lying in the rabbit nest with a smiling face. Sister Moon let out a soft sigh, feeling sweet in her heart. It turns out that her light not only illuminates the night sky, but also helps little animals find homes and keeps the lonely little ones company. It's much more interesting than hanging alone in the night sky. The next evening, when the moon sister appeared in the night sky again, all the little animals in the forest came out to greet her. Lele was holding a pine cone. Guagua was singing in the pond. Cookie was carrying freshly picked wild fruits on her back. And Rong Rong was even waving her ear at the moon sister. Sister Moon smiled and scattered her moonlight over everyone, thinking to herself, "From now on, every night, I will be everyone's little lighthouse, using my gentle light to protect every little one who needs company. Such a night is brighter than the stars in the sky and more beautiful than the sweet moonlight." 以上翻译结果来自有道神经网络翻译 YNMT 通用场景。The growth story of the young sapling in the green courtyard in the yard of my grandma's house. There is a small sapling. Everyone calls it green when it was first planted. It was only as tall as the knees, with thin branches and a few tender green leaves on top, like a shy little baby. Every day, it tried hard to absorb the sunlight and rain, hoping to grow taller quickly. Grandma waters it every day and also sets up a small wooden stick beside it, fearing that the wind might blow it over. That early morning, LVLV had just been moistened by the morning dew until its leaves shone when it heard a rustling sound. It was the chirping of a little sparrow that had just flown out of its nest. It wanted to find a safe place to build a new nest, but the big tree in the yard was too tall for it to fly up. Green quickly shook its slender branches and shouted to Shoo Shoo, Shoo Shoo, come to me. Though my branches are thin, they can help you keep out the wind. Shoo Shoo flew around LVLV twice and landed on the thickest branch, picking up dry grass and feathers, and slowly built up a small nest. After setting it up, Juju flapped her wings at LVLV and said, "Thank you, LVLV. Your branches are even more stable than I thought. From now on, this place will be my home." Day by day passed, and LVLV gradually changed its appearance. Its branches grew thicker, reaching as tall as Grandma's waist. Its tender green leaves turned dark green, and many new branches sprouted. When the wind blew, the leaves rustled, as if singing a happy song. In the morning, after Grandma finished washing the clothes, she found that there were enough clotheslines, and there was no place to hang the freshly washed handkerchiefs. When LVLV saw this, she quickly stretched out the smoothest branch in front of her grandma, as if saying, "Grandma, hang it with me." Grandma smiled and tied the small handkerchief to the branch. The handkerchief gently fluttered in the wind, as if she had tied a colorful little scarf for LVLV. Grandma touched the green branch and said, "Green is so sensible. Now you can even help Grandma with the work." At noon, the sun was scorching hot. My neighbor's little brother, Dodo, came to play in the yard. After running for a while, he was sweating profusely and wanted to find a cool place to rest for a while. Green quickly spread out its thick leaves and built a green little pergola for Dodo. "Dodo, come and rest under me for a while. Leaves can block the sun." Dudu ran under LVLV. Sure enough, it was much cooler. She also picked up a small stone that had fallen on the ground and drew a big smiling face at the base of LVLV. "LVLV, your awning is even more comfortable than Grandma's bamboo chair." In the afternoon, a few small green fruits suddenly sprouted on the green branches. They were sweet little crabapple fruits. Little squirrel Lely jumped down from the courtyard wall. When it saw the fruit, its eyes lit up, but it couldn't reach it. So it had to circle around LVLV. LVLV quickly drooped the fruit-bearing branches and said, "Lely, don't worry. Pick them slowly." Lely stood on tiptoe, picked a fruit, took a bite, and the sweet juice spread in its mouth. It quickly picked two more, put them in its arms, and shook its big tail at LVLV. "Thank you, LVLV. Your fruit is sweeter than the pine cones I found." In the evening, dark clouds suddenly rose from the sky, and it began to drizzle. The little snail that had just been playing in the yard slowly had nowhere to take shelter from the rain, and its shell was all covered with mud and water. LVLV quickly let a large leaf hang down and cover slowly above, as if opening a green umbrella. Slowly hiding under the leaves, slowly stretching out its antennae. It waved at Green Green and said, "Thank you, Green Green. Your leaves are just like little umbrellas. Not a drop of rain can get on me." The setting sun dyed the yard an orange-red. Standing in the center of the yard, LV watched her companions. Juju was singing in the nest. Dodo was playing with pebbles under the pergola, and Lely was running away with fruits in her arms, slowly resting under the leaves. Her heart felt warm. Suddenly it felt that from a tiny seedling to one that could provide shade-hang things and bear fruit, it was not only for its own growth, but also to help the little birds build nests, dry handkerchiefs for its grandma, shield Dudu from the sun, and share fruits with Lely. It was much happier than standing alone in the yard. It turns out that a tiny sapling, as long as it grows hard, can become a little guard in the yard, bringing warmth and joy to everyone. When the moon rose, LV was still standing quietly. The deep green leaves swayed gently in the moonlight, as if guarding every little life in the yard. The courtyard was quiet, with only the rustling sound of the leaves in the wind. Because of LV, this small courtyard became more and more lively and warm. Such days were sweeter than the sweet crabbable fruits and more beautiful than the thick leaves. A heartwarming story of a fluffy little rabbit in the forest. In the carrot field at the edge of the forest lived a little rabbit, and everyone called her Rong. She was covered with snow-white fur, as if wrapped in a layer of freshly fallen snowflakes. Her long ears were tinged with a light pink when she ran. Her ears bounced back and forth. With a gentle push of her hind legs, she could jump far away, and even the wind couldn't catch up with her. The most special thing about her is her little nose. She always loves to sniff around and can find the sweetest carrots in the forest, as well as the little troubles of her friends. That early morning Rong carried the small bamboo basket woven by her mother and went to the field to pick the freshest carrots for breakfast. Just as I pulled out a carrot still covered with soil, I heard a soft woo cry. It was the little hedgehog Kuki that had just moved to the forest. It wanted to send a wild strawberry to its grandma far away, but it didn't know the way to her house, and was afraid that its spines would prick others, so it didn't dare to ask for directions. Rong quickly put down the carrot, jumped to Kiwi's side, and gently touched its thorn with her nose. She knew which thorn wouldn't hurt people. "Don't be afraid, I'll take you there. I know the way." She walked ahead, helping Kuki push away the small branches blocking the way, and from time to time stopped to wait for Kuki, fearing that it might not keep up. When passing by the stream, Rong found a big lotus leaf, asked Kuki to sit on it, and pushed the leaf across the stream herself. It wasn't long before we arrived at Kui's grandma's home. Kayuki was holding wild strawberries and waved her little paws at Rong, saying, "Thank you, Rong. Your ears are more conspicuous than a small flag. I won't get lost at all following you." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, Rong was jumping around the dandelion bushes when she saw the little squirrel Lely squatting on a branch, worried. The cloth bag it used to hold pine cones had a hole, and the pine cones were scattered all over the ground. if they were blown away by the wind, there would be no food to eat in winter. Rong Rong quickly jumped over, used her soft down to catch the scattered pine cones, and handed the small bamboo basket to Lely. Let S put them in my basket first. Mum said this basket is very sturdy. Lalube put the pine cones into the basket and deliberately picked the biggest one to give to Rong Rong Rong. This is for you as a snack. Your basket is much more useful than my cloth bag. At noon, the sun was scorching. The little sparrows that had just learned to fly chirped, their wings drooping from the sun. They landed on the grass and couldn't fly, chirping anxiously. But Rong Rong quickly jumped to Juju's side and blocked the sunlight with her big ears, like opening two small white umbrellas. She also took out a dewy carrot from the basket, squeezed out the sweet juice and fed it to Juju to drink. Shushu drank the carrot juice and gradually regained her strength. She flapped her wings at Rong Rong and said, "Thank you, Rong Rong. Your ears are cooler than leaves." In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Rong Rong remembered that the little ants Guogo were still carrying breadcrumbs on the distant hillside. She quickly jumped over and called out Zizi. To them she had learned the sound of ants from her mother, reminding them to go home quickly. He also helped the fruit put the breadcrumbs into the small bamboo baskets and sent them back to the ant nest. Guoguo shook its antennae at Rong Rong and put a small piece of breadcrumbs in the basket, as if giving her a small gift. In the evening, the setting sun died. The forest orange. Dread Rong Rong was sitting in the carrot field, surrounded by Kuki, Lele, and Juju. They were sharing carrots, pine cones, and wild strawberries. Rong Rong bit into the sweet carrot, looking at the smiling faces of her friends. Her ears swayed gently, and her heart felt warm. Suddenly, she felt that running fast was not just for jumping and playing, but also to help everyone deliver things, shield from the sun, and pass on messages. It was much happier than eating carrots alone. It turns out that even a tiny rabbit can, with its own enthusiasm and agility, become a little sun in the forest, bringing warmth and safety to every friend. When the moon rose, Rong Rong was still bouncing along the path by the field, her snow-white fluff gently twinkling in the moonlight like a moving little cotton ball. The forest was quiet, with only the chirping of insects and the soft footsteps of Rong Rong. Because of Rong Rong, this forest became more and more lively and warmer. Such days were sweeter than sweet carrots and more comfortable than soft down. The sweet and sour memory of the lemon's golden sunlight on my grandfather's balcony. There is a lush lemon tree. Several oval-shaped lemons are hanging on its branches. Among them, the most yellow and vigorous one, my grandfather named it Huang Huang. Huang Huang was dressed in a bright, pale yellow coat, like a tiny sun. The skin had fine, uneven patterns and felt a bit rough to the touch. But when she got close to smell it, a fresh, sour smell mixed with the fragrance of fruits wafted straight into her nose. Its fruit stalks are green and hang steadily on the branches. When the wind blows, they sway gently. Even bees can't help but circle around it. Grandpa always says Huang Huang is the little sun on the balcony. After getting enough sunlight, it's refreshing, sour, and gentle sweet. That early morning, little butterfly CA was dozing off on the petals. She was so tired from gathering honey last night that she didn't even bother to flap her wings. Sai Sai smelled the refreshing fragrance on Huang Huang and woke up immediately. She flapped her wings at Huang Huang and said, "Little lemon, your scent is so refreshing." Huang Huang quickly shook his body to let the fragrance spread further. "Tizzy, wake up quickly. My scent can help you regain your strength." Sai Cai moved close to Huang Huang, took a deep breath, and the fresh fragrance immediately dispelled her drowsiness. She flapped her wings and flew around once. "Thank you, Huang Huang. Your fragrance is more effective than dew. I have the energy to gather honey now." In the morning, as the sun gradually rose, the little Aunt Dion Dion on the balcony, along with her friends, carried sugar grains. After walking just a few steps, they were already panting for breath due to the heat. They saw the yellow shadow fall on the edge of the flower pot like a small mat and quickly climbed over. "Wow, it's so cool here and there's a pleasant fragrance." Huang Huang steadily on the branch, allowing the shadow to always cover the dots. The dots lay in the cool shadow and sighed comfortably. "Thank you, Huang Huang, your shadow is cooler than leaves. We are no longer afraid of the sun." At noon, the little girl Duarduo from the neighbor's house came to play at her grandpa's. As soon as she saw Wang Wang on the balcony, her eyes lit up. "Grandpa, this lemon is so yellow, like a little sun, and it smells so good." Grandpa smiled and picked the yellow lemon off, wiped it clean, and handed it to Duarduo, saying, "The freshly ripened lemon is the freshest. When I make lemonade later, add a spoonful of honey and it will be especially delicious." Duarduo carefully held Wang Huang in her hands, inhaled the faint fragrance, and said with a smile, "I am going to make it with my grandpa so that my parents can also taste the flavor of this little sun." In the afternoon, the sky was a bit stuffy. Grandpa wanted to make a refreshing lemonade, but after searching for a long time, he felt that it lacked a bit of the natural fruity aroma. Duarduo thought of Huang Wang and quickly said, "Grandpa, use Huang Wang. It's sour. It's sure to make the water refreshing." Grandpa nodded, cut Huang Huang into thin slices, put them in a cup, added warm water and honey, stirred a few times, and a cup of sweet and sour lemon water was ready. Mum took a sip and her eyes lit up. "So refreshing. Thanks to Huang Huang, even the sweltering afternoon has become comfortable." In the evening, the setting sun dyed the balcony orange red. Grandma cut the remaining lemons into small cubes and cooked them with rock sugar to make lemon jam. She spread it on the bread, which was sweet and sour. Duarduo and her grandparents were gathered around the dining table, eating lemon sauce bread, taking bites one after another, chatting very happily. Duarduo took a bite of the bread and said with a smile, "Huang Huang is so amazing. It can be made into both lemonade and jam, and it's so sour that it's not astringent at all." Grandpa smiled and said, "Lemons may look small, but they have many uses. Sharing their sweet and sour taste can make everyone happy." When the moon rose, Duadwar washed the yellow lemon peels clean, dried them in the sun, and strung them into small sachets, which she hung in front of her desk. Lying on the bed, she inhaled the faint fragrance of lemon peel and gradually fell asleep. In her dream, on the balcony, Huang Huang was still hanging on the branch, like a little sun, giving off a fresh aroma. Because of Huang Huang, this small balcony has become refreshing and sweet and sour. Such days are more refreshing than iced lemonade and warmer than a light yellow coat. The Vegetable Garden Guardian Story of Eggplant Zai Zai in Grandma's Vegetable Garden. There is a lush green eggplant plant with plump eggplants hanging on it. Among them, the one that is the most purple and brightest is named Zai Zai by Grandma. Zai Zai was dressed in a shiny deep purple coat, like a round purple pearl. Her skin was so smooth that it could reflect the shadow of leaves. Her shape was chubby and slightly curved, like a tiny crescent moon. Its stems are slender, with a few large emerald green leaves on top. When the wind blows, they sway gently. Even the ladybugs passing by can't help but land on the leaves. Grandma always says, "Zizzy is a little gentleman in the vegetable garden. It hangs steadily on the seedlings." When it's ripe, it's delicious, whether stir-fried. One early morning, little Aunt Guagu and her friends were carrying cookie crumbs. When they reached the middle of the vegetable garden, they got lost. The green leaves around were so thick that they couldn't tell the direction. Guago looked up and saw Zai Zai on the rice seedlings. Her deep purple coat stood out particularly among the green leaves. She quickly called out to her friends, "Look, that purple eggplant is like a small flag. We can go home by following it." Zai Zai hung steadily on the rice seedlings, like a loyal little guide. Guogo followed Zai Zai's direction and indeed found their way home very quickly. Guogo waved her antennae at Zizzy and said, "Thank you, Zizzy. Your color is brighter than a little lantern. We'll never get lost again." In the morning, as the sun rose slowly, the vegetable garden became warm. The little snail crawled slowly, sweating all over its head. It wanted to find a shady place to rest for a while, but the other leaves were all too narrow. It climbed under the big purple leaves and suddenly felt much cooler. The emerald green leaves were like a big green umbrella, just right to block the sunlight. Slowly lying on the soil, he shook his antennae at Zai Zai and said, "Zai Zai, Zai Zai, Zai Zai, your big green umbrella is so comfortable. It's cooler than petals. I'm not afraid of the sun anymore." Zai Zai gently shook the leaves, making the shadow cover tighter and gradually blocking the dazzling sunlight. At noon, Duadwo, a little girl from the neighbor's house, came to the vegetable garden to help her grandma pick vegetables. As soon as she saw Zai Zai on the rice seedlings, her eyes lit up. "Grandma, this eggplant is so purple, like a purple pearl. It's so beautiful." Grandma smiled and picked Zizzy, wiped it clean and handed it to Duwadbu, saying, "Freshly picked eggplants are the tenderest." When I make braised eggplant later, you'll surely love it. Duodwo carefully held Zizzy in her hands, touched the smooth coat and said with a smile, I want to watch Grandma make it so that Mum and Dad can also taste the flavor of this purple pearl. In the afternoon, dark clouds suddenly drifted from the sky, and it seemed that it was about to rain. Zai Zai saw of the little ladybug Dion living under the eggplant vines. Its back shell was a bit thin and it was afraid of getting wet by the rain. Zizzy quickly asked her grandma to pick the big leaves beside her and cover them with Dion's little nest. The leaves were big and thick, just right to keep out the rain. When the raindrops pattered down, Dion poked his head out from under the leaves and shook the spot at Zai Zai, saying, Thank you, Zai Zai. Your leaves are more useful than my shell. I didn't get wet at all. Zai Zai lay in the bamboo basket, watching the raindrops hitting the vegetable leaves, feeling sweet in her heart. In the evening, the setting sun dyed the vegetable garden orange red. Grandma cut Zai Zai into oblique pieces and made braised eggplant together with minced garlic and broad bean paste. In no time, the rich aroma filled the kitchen. Duodwo and her parents gathered around the dining table, looking at the shiny and soft braised eggplant. They couldn't wait to take a bite. It was salty and fragrant, not at all greasy. Dad said while eating, This is the most delicious braised eggplant I've ever eaten. Thanks to Zizzy, the meat is tender and flavorful. Grandma smiled and said, Eggplants may look ordinary, but they have many uses. Growing quietly and sharing them with everyone is the best. When the moon rose, Duodwa washed the seeds of Zai Zai clean and put them in a small plate. She wanted to plant the seeds in a flower pot and wait for eggplant seedlings to grow next year. She lay on the bed, thinking of today's braised eggplant, and it seemed as if she could still smell that rich aroma. The room was quiet, with only the sound of the evening breeze brushing past the window. Because of Zai Zai, this small vegetable garden became full of vitality and fragrant. Such days were more beautiful than the soft and glutinous flesh of eggplants, and more dazzling than their bright purple coats.